one of my favorite photos of you was when you were strapped to the bonnet of a camera car. And I've just thought to myself, here's a stunt man making an action movie, and like you'd look like you're just like a fat kid on a cupcake, mate. You were so happy that day, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the things we do and the why. For me, it was never that I set out to do crazy things when making Extraction. It was more about I wanted to try to capture an action sequence, in real time and do something that really thrust the audience to the forefront of the battle and put them in the action, so to speak. So it wasn't quite first person shooter game, but it also wasn't the way that Jackie Chan would be back a little bit. It was a mixture, like longer takes, fluid
Yeah,
action, but you were in there with them. And sometimes the only way to achieve those shots was to put myself in some pretty precarious situations. And it was less about, that I'm the best camera operator or anything. It was more about the safety aspect. Was
yeah.
that I knew just my years of stunt performing and being on set and around these dangerous events, kind of what needed to happen, where I needed to be, and how to get out of trouble if something should go south.
Right.
And I just didn't feel comfortable putting other people in that position. And thusly, I strapped myself to the hood of a car
The
and all
culmination
kinds of
of it
different.
was like the pinnacle moment for you. It's like everything's just coming together right now. And
Yeah.
because you get so close at such speed, you get so close to the other vehicle. It's insane. Like,
Yeah, and I think the credit has to go then to the stunt team for keeping me safe. Like I was, yes, I strapped myself to the hood of that car, but I wasn't strapping myself. First of all, there was a stunt rigging team that made sure I was safe, and then there was drivers. There were drivers who were driving that car, the different vehicles that I was in, and the ones we were interacting with. It's a whole choreographed dance. It's that,
Yeah.
and safety is huge. It's a huge responsibility for any filmmaker, and especially from an action standpoint. It's very much at the forefront of my mind when designing these things.
yeah, I think like as an actor, and growing up, especially with the martial arts, that I always thought, oh, I'd love to do all my own stunts and that, but no, I mean, to be able to do it again and again and look good and hit the mark looking good, I mean, me flying through the air screaming like a 10-year-old girl and a bit of wee coming out, it's not going to cut it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like most people could do the stunts that we do once.
Yeah,
It's having to do them over and over again, like you said, hitting a mark and getting back up, and not just doing it to get the moods right, but performing. Because
yeah.
as a stunt performer, you're as much an actor in that moment as an actor is. You're portraying the character physically in that moment, and you're capturing emotional content, and there's a lot of stuff that has to go through your mind and be expressed through your body in these sequences.
Even at the start, like when you come up with a concept for that car chase, for example, in Extraction, like you're thinking, well, what are the given circumstances of the moment? What's the character's objective? And all that's factored in as you're sort of designing, I imagine, those sorts of
Right.
scenes.
Yes, we would approach an action scene as an action designer, pretty much how an actor or a director would approach any scene. Like, where are you coming from? Where are you going? What's the emotional, through line of this scene? What are the beats you need to hit? Like, what are the transitions? It's all very similar, and I think, for it works both ways. Meaning, anyone who's wanting to get into acting can learn a lot from the technical side of the camera, right? And hitting marks and knowing the flow of things, knowing what lenses are being used and the methodology. But then on the flip side, those who are either want to direct or direct actors or design sequences, it's helpful to know the acting side of it, because you have to be able to communicate with actors, and you need to know these things about, again, like emotional through lines and what are these character beats you're trying to hit, all the things that actors do to prepare. A good action designer and director should be doing those same things.